Alright, welcome back. So let's get this guy shooting. Um, let's go ahead and start with making a laser prefab. Let's go into your sprites, pick out whatever laser you like. I've already made one, so I'm just going to make another one. Drag it into your scene and then drag it into prefab here to make easy prefab. I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to use this one, but same thing. And let's go to our script, and we need to create a public game object laser so that we can hold a reference to our prefabs. Yep, so there's a little reference here. Box should show up on your player script and have the little laser ready to go. Let's override it, apply, and back in here. So again, we made a public game object for laser. Now in update, if input.get button down fire1. So what's fire1? Well, let's take a look. It's going to be in project settings back in the input, and we've got fire1 and fire 2 and 3. Yeah, here we go. So the default is left control, mouse click 0, and joystick button 0, which is A on the Xbox controller, or X on the PlayStation. You can use either one, but I'm using Xbox, so A is going to be my go-to button here. But because we're using fire1, we can use any one of these, so that way this game will work no matter what you have plugged in. So input.get button down fire1. What we want to do is, let's see, do we want to instantiate it? Or do we want to do this? Yeah, we want to instantiate it and give it a velocity. So we want to create a new game object. We'll just call it player. No. Yeah, we'll just call it player laser. That's fine. Player laser equals instantiate. So what instantiate does, you can think of it like spawn. It's going to create a clone at some position of whatever you want, and in this case we want to create a clone of this laser object. And when you instantiate it, it needs three things: the what you're cloning, where, so the vector 3 position, where it's at, and quaternion rotation. That's just a fancy way to say its rotation, which in this case we're not going to be rotating it, so don't even worry about quaternions. We'll get into that later. That's a whole other can of worms. So I want to make a laser, and so this laser, this comes from our game object variable up here. So the prefab, our reference to our prefab, that's what I want to clone. Where do I want to clone it? Where I am. So transform dot position is just wherever you are. And as for rotation, quaternion identity, which is its base rotation. No rotation, all good. So if we just do this, it should spawn us a bunch of lasers, right? So we're spawning them, but not going anywhere. And if we know anything from our block breaker, if we want something to move forward that we're not controlling, it needs to have a rigid body 2D. So let's get it a rigid body. So now it can simulate physics, which is great. That's what we want. Rigid body 2D. And while we're at it, I'm gonna add one to our ship with 0 on that gravity scale. Back to the laser. I guess it doesn't need one either. And let's go ahead while we're here, add a capsule collider 2D to it. And we're going to make it a trigger. Make it a trigger. The capsule collider 2D on your laser. Make it a trigger. It's very important. The way I'll be doing it in these videos. Not everything's gonna be all jacked up later. If why doesn't it? It's not colliding with anything. We're making it a trigger. So we could spawn it, and now it has a rigid body. So what we can do is get our laser dot get component. We want its rigid body 2D. Okay, we want to grab its physics and get its velocity component and give that a new value. Vector 2 0 2. So let's get our paint going back here again. See if I can't just get all this out of here. So right now we've got our, well, hang on. So our new vector 2. So if this is x and y, our x vector is nothing, and our y vector is 10. So if you can think about it this way, we're giving it like, this is the direction, like what angle it's going to come out at. This is going to be, the y component is its speed, just because we're shooting up. If some of you are making this game flip the other way, where you're moving left to right, you're going to want to flip these too, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. If you wanted your bullet to come out at an angle for some strange reason, you could make this like some numbers. So let's say we made it like 2, and our vector, and this is still 10, it's going to come out at a direction like this. Ten and 2, because 10 plus 2 is going to be about this angle here. If you haven't talked about vectors in your physics class, or you haven't taken physics yet, don't worry about it. Trust me. Just do what I do. And if you have questions, we can talk about it. Yeah, so this is going to come out straight away. Give it a vector, or give it a velocity, and it should shoot now. Yep, and there we go. So now our buddy is shooting. But what we want, it'd be really tiresome to have to click a whole bunch of times the whole game. If you want it to be like that, you can, but we're trying to make good games in this class, so let's talk about how we can automate this process, make it shoot very quickly, or maybe the same speed, but without having to click it a whole bunch of times. That's gonna be really annoying if your game's really long. And what we're gonna do is use something called an IEnumerator, and I'm gonna call this fire continuously. And then that's just going to be like that for a little bit until I finish it. So an IEnumerator is a special kind of method that can run whenever you call it, but stop in the middle if you tell it to stop, and then resume back where it started, which is really cool. Really useful. It's exactly what we want to do here. So let's say you're playing your game, and then you call this method, and you're playing it, and it's running this method, and in the middle of it, you want to go back to the game. Well, it's gonna fix that position here. Keep playing the game. This is terrible. Keep playing the game, and then whenever you tell it to run again, it's gonna jump right back where it left off and run through its cycle until you tell it to stop again, and it's gonna stop exactly where it stops. Go back to the game. Whatever. You get the idea. So it's a really, really handy way to do this. So while true, so this is technically an infinite while loop, but because this is an IE enumerator, we can jump out of it whenever we need to, and then jump right back in when we need to. So this is the only time that an infinite loop isn't actually an infinite loop, which is pretty cool. So we want to do this. All this stuff, all this good stuff. We can get rid of this. And what we need to do is add a coroutine. We'll call it a fire. No, hang on. That fire. And is that what we want? I think so. Yeah. So if this happens, we'll set that fire coroutine equal to start coroutine, whatever the name is. Fire continuously, and I actually need to make this a capital F. Yo. Continuously. Now I feel like that's not spelled right. Continuously. Hang on, that's gonna bug me. Continuous. It's a UO. Oh. Oh, it's UOU. No. Yeah, it is. Continuous. That just looks weird. Fire continuously. That's a weird looking word. I don't buy that. But yeah, that's it. That's weird. I don't like that. No. I don't want that. That looks too weird to me. So what else can we call it? Fire. I'll call it rapid fire. How about that? That's way better. Boy, we're supposed to change it here too. Rapid fire. All right, that makes me much happier. Man, that's a weird word. So fire equals start coroutine rapid fire. Yeah. So whenever you press whatever, mouse down A, it is going to set this coroutine. It's going to start whatever this coroutine is, and start running this. Okay, because it's in a while loop, so it's going to keep going until if input.get button up fire 1, we are going to set we're going to stop coroutine fire. So when you hold it down, when you're pressing the button, you're starting this coroutine, and when you lift it up, it's going to stop it. wherever it was. And then when you press it again, it's going to pick it up right back where it was. And if I were to play now... Uh-oh. Oh, dang it. So I'm stuck in an infinite loop right now because I forgot the most important part. I can't believe it even let me play it, so I'm going to have to close this out, which is a bummer. What we got here? Where's Unity? There we go. Rookie mistake. Not really. It'll happen to you all the time. Hope I got some of y'all in that. That'd be pretty funny. Let's open this up. And I'm not starting the video. It's too late. Deal with it. So let's go back into our script. We forgot the most important part. And it was telling me earlier, I don't know why it made me stop. So we need, IEnumerators require a return value, a way for it to actually get out of the method. Otherwise, it's just a regular method and we're just doing nothing. So this yield is what we need. Yield return new. And we're going to use wait for seconds. All this does is have some delay before it can run again. And this is going to be our fire rate. So if I put 1, every second it's going to shoot 1 bullet. So I can only shoot 1 bullet a second if I hold it down. I'm looking for something like 0.2, yeah, for something. We'll figure that out later. And make sure this is in the while loop. If it's outside, it'll be an infinite loop. But yeah, make sure this is in here. So now I can play and I can shoot. And so this is me clicking it a bunch of times. This is me holding it down. No clicks. Sweet. So that is how we can fire a laser continuously. What a cool thing. All right, so that's going to wrap it up for chapters or checkpoints 2 and 3. I seriously hope you guys are watching this on Friday, because you can be done Monday, Tuesday. You can work on the next checkpoints. It's going to be awesome. So you can have checkpoints 2 and 3 done by Monday. I'm not taking them late for full credit. Whatever, but everything's here. Cool. I'll see you guys on Monday.